So it might be something of an obvious thing to say, but I think the story of the church in the United States is really at something of a tipping point. And the recent pronouncements from the White House are not so much leading the way, but really a sign of how society is changing. And we know what's happening, we know what's coming, because those who do the research look at the generations that are coming, the 16 to 29-year-olds, the Mosaic and Buster generations, and we know what their attitudes are towards the church, and quite frankly, they're profoundly negative. In fact, Christians have become defined by negatives, by what they're against: anti-homosexual, judgmental, hypocritical, above all, unloving, and in fact, unchristian. A pastor who I've got to know up here, a guy called Eddie, who planted a church here in the area, in the Washington, D.C. area, 15 years ago. When he started, he did a bit of research, and he went around and knocked on people's doors and entered into conversations with people about what kind of church they might like to have in the area, what was missing. He found in general people were willing to talk about the church, had some interest in discussing what they would like it to be like. Well, on a whim, about a year ago, he decided to repeat that piece of research, and he went and knocked on people's doors again. And what he found was a stunningly different picture. This time, the predominant response was disinterest. Simply no interest in talking about the church whatsoever. Now, in a way, we know how this story goes because we've seen an example of it across the Atlantic in the UK, where the church has faded into statistical insignificance. But at the same time, in a profoundly secular culture, there are now seeds of extraordinary new life. And that new life has come because of a change of mindset and a change of culture in the church in the UK. And fundamentally, I would define that as a change to a missional mindset. Now, what do I mean by a missional mindset? Well, let's say we were starting a church in Afghanistan. We would have no illusions about what our task would be, which would essentially be to represent the Christian faith in some way, in the workplace, in our family life, in social life. And this is what I've seen, is that change of culture, that change of mindset, has at its core an understanding of the work and the life of the Spirit. All the great historical movements, the great revivals, the great missional movements have some kind of understanding of the Spirit. And that's why I'm so passionate about this model that we've received, that makes it ordinary, normal, reasonable. Now, I want you to join me in writing the next chapter of this story. I want to go beyond just sending out the occasional bit of news or a video blog. So in the next couple of weeks, I hope to be launching a social network where you can contribute and play a part. But the other way that you can contribute is by giving. Both Kim and I feel quite strongly that we need to be finding local sources of support, and we've been working hard on that, building relationships with churches here in the area. But the reality is that even if some of those partnerships prove fruitful, which we hope they will, we will not be able to support ourselves fully here for some months, and we're facing a shortfall. And in fact, our funding is running out in about 6 weeks' time. So this is my invitation to you, to join with us, to partner with us by giving, by joining the social network as soon as it's up and running, and by praying for this new chapter in the history of the church in the United States that we are committed to playing our part in.